Hey, it took giant strength for John Cena to come out and answer some questions honestly, and I loved it. Normally in wrestling, this is not what you see, but John Cena had some real grown man behavior over the weekend. I wanted to bring up to you. He was doing a fan expo in Chicago, and he was asked whether or not he felt like his first promo as a heel. You may recall this was the one that he did internationally. Maybe he thought it was a miss. That was the question. And he said something like, I wasn't upset. No, I failed. And nothing wrong with that. You can learn from failure, right? I went up there and bombed. Shit happens. I love that. And later, when he was asked about, hey, would you have done the heel turn if you knew Rock wasn't going to come back? Or what would you have done differently if you knew Rock wasn't coming back? And John's response was amazing. He said something like, what I'm hearing is in a hypothetical universe, what different choices would you make? I will answer that with hindsight. It's a waste of time. We must live right now and here in the excitement and adventure. We got 11 dates left. And we'll be able to talk about all this bupkis in January after the whole thing is over. But we've taken the audience on a hell of a ride this year, and we've still got a ways left to go. So I'm excited about that. Man, when you see the responses to the questions here, it's no wonder that he's been in a leadership position with WWE for 20 years, just owning it. Hey, I sucked. I shit the bed. I'll learn from it. I'll get better. We could armchair quarterback it to death. Let's do that at the end. Let's focus on the other 11 dates. I just love that. I thought it was such a great answer. It reminded me once upon a time of when Peyton Manning was struggling before he won the big one, before he won the Super Bowl. And there was a knock on Peyton, as a Tennessee guy. Oh, he'll never win the big one. And there was a kicker who missed a field goal, and people were blaming him. And he just stood right at the press conference and said, hey, don't put it on the kicker, put it on me. We lost because of me. If we win, it's because of me. If we lose, it's because of me. I can take it. I thought that was such a man thing of John Cena. I really liked this. What'd you think of John's response?
I may take this in a different direction. I don't know what you're expecting, but you've seen, I'm sure, because they're all over YouTube and in little bits and maybe some LinkedIn learning, basically crisis management.
Yep.
And I'm not going to say that John is working when he says those statements, but he without a doubt knows how to position himself as an unbelievable monster babyface, because he clicks and checks and ticks right dialed into, God almighty, I can't wait to watch these last 4 months because I am sure pulling for my man John. I mean, there is nothing not to like about him.
Yep.
And you are so emotionally connected to a guy that shows vulnerability and is dialed in and shows his flaws and says, I'm not perfect, and really breezes through in, I'm not looking in the rearview mirror, I'm looking forward, because that's what it's about. And let's worry about today and how I can be better and everything that went with it. It's, to me, it's brilliant. And that's why I don't want to call it crisis management, but in a lot of ways, like, and I text you guys, you and Dave, about the cover of People magazine and how long, I don't know if we've talked about that, but that's why when you kind of look at things, and maybe in January, we're going to hear a hell of a podcast story on Taker or Cody's or Stephanie's or one of their podcasts up there, and they're going to go back a year in review and really peel the layers of the onion off. But at the end of the day, John is all about business and figuring out, how am I going to increase engagement and viewership and clicks and all the metrics that need to be clicked and sell merch for him and the company. It is, I hope that the talent that are in the industry right now really, and I mean study, think through. If you got a chance, read this printed material over and over and over. Try to understand the DNA on how you handle situations, because John endeared himself to me to any of the naysayers out there that have, been with him through this ride and might have not felt fulfilled. Hats off to all of them. But John is dialed in to finishing these last 4 months in a real cool way.
He's also a big fan of Logan Paul. He was asked if he thought Logan Paul was overrated. And he said, I know there's a lot of people that like him, or there's not a lot of people that like him. He's not a likable guy. I disagree with him being overrated. I think he's underrated. I think he gets a bad rap. He's not an outsider. He belongs in the WWE. I think his best days are ahead of him. I think he's got championships in his future. I can tell you I'm not looking past Logan Paul, and I'm not believing any of this hype that he's an outsider. It should be taken lightly. I'm training hard. I said kind of from the beginning that I felt like Logan Paul's probably the right guy to be John Cena's last opponent, because I just know he's going to talk about that in the mainstream, because John Cena is a big enough name that it would, anytime you see Logan Paul, if he's talking about beating John Cena, it'll remind you, oh yeah, he's with WWE now. I don't know. I just think that's the way it's going to go. Our buddy Dolph Ziggler made some rounds last week when he suggested maybe there should be like a 7-man gauntlet that John Cena has to run through, built of his old opponents, and then maybe the last one is The Rock. If you were booking this, do you think we would? Obviously, anytime you can get The Rock, it's a value add to the program. So we'll start there. Do you think we'll see The Rock before John Cena finishes up? And who would you pick for John Cena's last opponent right now, if you had to call it?
Well, I mean, we're kind of dream booking and all that. I like the scenario of making the night this is your life, and go back, and whoever is available that can be there, and from day one, Cena, maybe even go as the prototype, whatever it may be. I think that if you're tuning into this, you're going to see essentially John's entire career in a PLE format, and have cameos by as many people as possible. But when you kind of look back on his career, in a lot of ways, and he was a megastar, but when he did the trilogy with Rock, in a lot of ways, that was kind of handing the baton off. And Cena went on to bigger and bigger heights, and Cena to Cody, and not to discount anybody out there, but how do you really have a Cena farewell? It's hard to argue in that if Logan has committed, and I'm not saying for life, but certainly the next couple of years in that he is, Rock became, go back, Hogan became bigger with his passing. We saw that he became bigger than the WWE, super success. Austin was a breakout. Rock was a breakout. Cena was a breakout. Just when you kind of got Cody went off and did his deal in the right time in the right place, and my God, he's super, super successful. But who is the guy that, in a way, Cena is going to hand the baton off in the era of celebrity? If we get to our topic today, there is kind of some celebrity crossover appeal and all that. Those days are 20 years ago. Now we're, Bad Bunny and Tyson and Shaq and whoever else you want to talk about has their one-off matches. But if Logan is full-time, it's hard to really think of anybody else on the current roster that would have residual benefit other than Logan. And again, Cena's very calculated. He said the exact right things. He put Logan over about as strong as you can. He's not overrated. He's entirely underrated. I'm training hard. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. He's building his opponent the accurate way. There's so many young guys in this business that, and this is, Jesus, a Jackie Fargo, Jarrett 101. Never downgrade your opponent. Never talk BS. If the guy's old, don't say he's old. If the guy's short, don't say he's short. Figure out creative ways to put your opponent over, because then you're beating somebody. Cena, it's 101 how he did it. So I just got to believe, and I think what you were leaning at is it's hard for me to come up with anybody other than Logan that, and I don't say makes sense, but that has the residual John giving the right player the rub.
If Vince were still making calls, who do you think Vince would pick?
Again, I'm assuming, probably wrongly so if you get into assumptions, but I'm assuming Logan is at least committing, let's say the next 3 years. I think Vince would pick Logan as well.
I don't have any inside information, but I feel like a lot of John Cena's sensibilities around wrestling were born out of Vince McMahon. I mean, that was his right-hand guy who booked him the entire time. So I think if we want to figure out what does John Cena want, if we thought about what does Vince want, what would Vince call, that might be where John Cena lands. If he really is in control of his last opponent, if they're giving him that one, which I think he's earned, he's probably going to think, what would Vince do?
Oh, I would be hard pressed if Cena on flights or during workouts and cardio, if he doesn't have a processing computer mindset that I think we all have to a certain degree. All right, John would maybe go, all right, what would Vince do? And then he may have 2 or 3 other voices in his head that whether it was an agent producer, whether it was maybe a TV guy that he leans into, it could be another talent that he looks up to, that he used to have phone calls with, all those kind of things on the processing of it to get a real inner circle vote of confidence or a yay or a nay. I definitely think there's not a decision he makes in the industry in his mind that he didn't go, all right, what would Vince do?
SaveWithConrad.com.
My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California. I came to Save with Conrad because I've heard Conrad talk about how he helps people all the time save money and the best route to go for getting some mortgages and finances done. And having heard so many different testimonials in the past, it made the most sense to go this route. We were in the market for a new house and we wanted to know what we could afford. So we spoke with Steve and then Diane to get through the pre-approval process to see what we could afford. And then once we were able to understand that aspect of it, that was when we were able to shop around for a house to get a mortgage through Save with Conrad. Everybody on the team was great. Everybody really explained everything fully to where it was more in like layman's terms to where I could understand it as someone not in the business or having shopped around for houses too many times. So being able to understand every step of the process and talking with everyone on the team about that was really, really helpful. And it made me feel really confident that I was going the right route. I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. I know that sometimes people look at it and they go, oh, they're based in Alabama, what could they help me with? But I'm out here in California and they were able to square everything away and get things done really quickly, as opposed to sometimes even people out here don't move as quickly as the Save with Conrad team. So everything was really well done, really efficient, and I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California, and I was able to get into my dream home with SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender. SaveWithConrad.com.